welcome back. I'm glad you've tuned in. If you're new here, my name is Joon, and I am a journeyman plumber in the commercial service world. And I've been in this career now for 8 years, and so I'm still very young, but I hope to share with you some things and insights for a second year apprentice and the things that I expect of a second year apprentice. This is going to be more of a questioning because it's tough to gauge how long you've been with a certain journeyman, how long you've been in a certain area, and some crews just work a little bit differently. So these are going to be general questions to kind of gauge where you think you should be at the end of your first year in your apprenticeship as a plumber. So, how are you with materials, fittings? If I ask you to get me a pro press, if I ask you to get me a hammer drill, if I ask you to get me a spud wrench, you got it? If we are in an area, if we're trying to set up and we've been working there over the last couple of weeks, would you be able to set up our cart? Would you be able to set up the tools that we need? Provide at least the basics of where you think we're going to be doing? That's showing initiative. That would be something I expect at the end of your first year as a plumbing apprentice. Number two, are you starting to remember the formulas of 1.414, 2.61? Are you able to start doing some of the longhand math to figuring out your takeoff and your makeup? Like starting to understand and conceptualize those mathematical constants in the field and how quickly they can become a building block to understanding the world of plumbing and making your job actually a lot easier in the long run. So hopefully that bedrock starting to be implemented in terms of fractions and the use of fractions and doing that without your calculator. Number three, do you know the standard of safety practices for your company? Or are you following the safety practices of your GC? So with that, are you using a knee pad? Are you using your earplugs? Are you using silica preventions while you're doing a hammer drill or working with concrete? Are those the things that you're starting to understand as a general framework of the situations and the areas and the work environment that you find yourself working in now? So those are kind of like, are you starting to take those small steps that will affect you long term? Especially hearing protection, especially with your knees. You're working in really, really rough environments. So don't be just going straight down to your knees on concrete or rocks, or make sure you have knee pads. I'm not going to lie, that's one of the best things I've used. Earplugs are the best things that I've used. Obviously, eye protection, your standard PPE, starting to understand these acronyms that are coming along your way. So number four, so when I said the general framework of the situations, are you now understanding kind of the titles, the framework of foreman, of a GC, of a PM? Are you understanding the different trades and kind of their language and understanding what kind of steps are needed and required for underground or for in-wall or for overhead? And kind of like, it's only your first year, but so you don't know when you've been dropped into a project. I don't know where you've been dropped into in terms of where that phase is, but understanding there's a phase to the construction world. Hopefully you're starting to see a little bit more of what that looks like. Number five, the first year really is exposure. And so there's a whole new world that we mentioned that you're being really exposed to. And so you've probably gone through the whole year, you've gone through the 4 seasons. How are those boots working out? Are there certain clothes that you're going to start needing to invest in? Are you going to start needing to get bibs or insulated bibs? Are you going to need to be getting long sleeve shirts? Or are you going to need to be wearing a wool layer? Like how are your socks? Like those are the kind of the small little detailed things that hopefully you can make your job more comfortable. And there's also the wage that you might have had to take a pay cut to get to. So understanding like that, I understand the whole year can kind of be very quick, but it can also go too fast where you're not soaking up your environment and making those small little changes to make your work environment better and more comfortable and more delightful, because it is a rough situation on a day-to-day basis, and you kind of have to get into a focused perspective of finishing out the year and learning and growing, and you just made a whole life change. So those are the 5 things that I expect of a second year apprentice to start understanding and grasping. So with that said, now with those that have gone through your first year, There's people that have been a part of this channel that we've seen start their whole journey and start where they're at and completely take that jump. There's other people that are on the verge of wanting to make that jump and trying to get all these answers before they make the choice. And hopefully you're starting to see the benefits. Literally, if you've joined the union, you're looking forward to a raise. You've been a part of the union meetings. You've been a part of schooling and getting to understand a little bit more of the in-depth sides of things and asking questions of your classmates and asking questions of your teachers and hopefully are putting yourself in the most optimal position to learn and to grow. You've also probably been hazed a lot. You've also been probably getting a lot of shit. I'm not going to lie, they probably pick on you for the dumbest things. They ask you to go pick up some brass glue. Doesn't exist. So there's just things that you have to understand that it's tough, it's difficult. Now that I'm looking back, there's a lot of fun in that as well. Even though you might be trying hard, they're having fun. They've been doing this for years and years and years, and so I just want to congratulate you if you made it this far. I know that it is bleak maybe in terms of the choices you've made, but you're on a path, you're on a direction. If you've made it into the union, if you've made it into a program, this is the part where you need to stick to it. And there's other content videos that we've made in the past, and hopefully you look at those. But now you have a foundation. Now you're building something. You're building a career. You're building a way of living for the rest of your life. You're doing something that is bigger than what you might have done before, or maybe not. Maybe this is just an adventure that you wanted to try out. I understand that, but if you haven't, this is a great plan B. This is a great plan A. I think that this is the trade, and I think there's going to be a huge need. I think there's going to be a huge influx of people that are realizing the asset and value. So anyway, that is what I expect of a second-year apprentice, and I hope you continue to join us and be a part of this journey. See you next time.